I'm so happy to be able to talk to you today.
Yes.
And so happy to learn from the experience you've done, of everything you've done in Brazil. Something we talk at Endeavor is that no longer the generation of new companies and innovation is related to 2-3 specific places on Earth, but that we can spread innovation and we can spread entrepreneurship and we can build things. We only need talent, ambition, and create the context. So please, Liz, tell us about what you're doing in your region and how you've developed the ecosystem of innovation.
Oh, perfect. Thank you, Verónica. So first, I want to thank also the South Summit team for this gift of knowing Verónica and being here. Just to give you a context, my name is Lisiane Lemos. I serve as Secretary for Innovation, Science and Technology in the state of Rio Grande do Sul. It's the 5th largest state in Brazil. We have 11 million inhabitants in almost 500 cities. So the thing is, first, this is a challenge. I began my career as a tech executive. I stayed 6 years at Microsoft, almost 5 at Google, and I left to work with the Governor Eduardo Leite and Vice Governor Gabriel Souza. And South Summit is also part of our job working over there. So one of the challenges, I think, to spread, how do we work there? First pillar, I think it's talent, and it's something that we talk about. So 2 of the best universities, private universities and also public universities are in the state. So developing new talent and giving them the tools in programs like RS Talentos and Professor do Amanhã that we have there. Second, to leverage our startups. So some of them are here, the RS Startups Network that we have there. So how to do that? And third, and I think it's the key point, is to decentralize how we do things. So we have a program that is called Inova RS, that we divide the state into 8 regions. And we have a point of contact where people can talk with them and understand of the programs that we have at the government to bring their events and their needs and to help us on understanding how can we develop public policies to help them, and also to bring them here in international events. So I think when you talk about tactics, I think being a person that it's not from the big centers, when you talk about Brazil, we think about São Paulo and Rio de Janeiro, and also Porto Alegre, but I came from a small city in the south of Rio Grande do Sul. How can we impact people that do not have the opportunity to be at South Summit Brazil, to be in South Summit Madrid? And I think it's about that, to recognizing the vocation, recognizing the potential of each region, and having a point of contact there that can build the bridge between sides. But talking about bridges, you know, when we were planning this panel, I said, I was like, I'm a LinkedIn top voice, so being a content creator is part of my job. And I saw Veronica's LinkedIn, and you should see too. So her trajectory, it's amazing, and I was, oh my God, I'm a huge fan of her. So I want to understand, as an entrepreneur, how you began that, and how now you work in an NGO to also impact youth talents and bring them to STEM subjects.
Yeah, thank you, Lee. So I've been working for 20 years in mobile robotics. We built a company that was developing driverless vehicles for the industrial automation. This company was recently acquired by ABB Robotics, and I left the corp and then moved on. Prior to the acquisition of the company, in parallel, we created a non-profit ASTI, which had the same name of the company, and we develop competences of science and technology among youth. Something we saw in the company was that we were having so much trouble in hiring people because we were taking everyone in the classrooms of university, everyone in the classrooms of technical qualification to work with us. And we were thinking, why instead of putting so much focus into being able to hire better, why don't we put part of our energy, of our engineering capabilities into working with the very young ones, younger education, and making them or helping them discover the opportunity of technology. What does it mean to develop technology? How much can you change the world if you develop technology? And so we did. So we created the ASTI nonprofit. We work in very many places in Spain. We have several thousands of students that are from the age of 9 coming out of university. We have mentor programs, we have tech programs, we have robotic programs, we have a robotic development program. So anything you want. If you're based in Spain, you have little sisters, brothers, or whatever, family members or friends, and you want them to discover the power of technology, we would be super welcome to have them in our programs. And why we did, as you mentioned, which I truly think the future of a country depends on the future of their talent. And we need to make sure that the country is going to have the type of talent that it will demand related to how the world is changing. So this world is much more related to technology than the world 10 years ago or 20 years ago. And we need to make sure that our young ones are ready to be tech builders and not only tech users. Because when you become a tech builder, you are a much better tech user too.
Yes.
And you're better able to connect with the needs of the market and the way to solve them. So yeah, that's how we did. But please tell me specifically, because you've given us the framework of what you've been doing. I think it's amazing, and I'm sure you will agree with me that you've come from the corporate world where things are more
faster.
one way, faster.
Less
and then you were so brave to leave everything and go into the public.
Yeah.
And then do everything you've mentioned that you were doing, giving us this framework. So specifically now, talking about talent, what is it that you're doing to make this happen?
Yeah, I loved when you said that the future of a country is the talent. Something that is very important to me, it's most of the programs that we talk about IT, they are related to youth, but the challenge in Rio Grande do Sul, we are the oldest state in Brazil. So in a few years, 20% of our population will have more than 60 years. Mm-hmm. So my challenge nowadays, I think it's like how we do reskilling, how we do upskilling, how we deal with generations, and you have a work with parents, and we talk about that, how we make people like us that are non-digital born, I'm young, but not that young, how we understand that you can work with technology. I'm a lawyer, and now I work with IT. So what we are doing in Rio Grande do Sul, first, I think in schools. So we have a group of students that came in Brazil. We do an ideathon that is called Hackache, and the award that we give them is to come to South Summit. I think it's very important to develop in schools, as ASTI does, and to make them dream about working in IT. And first, representativeness is very important. So people ask me, why did you accept the invitation to go to the government? Because I want the population to see themselves and to also bring my talents to the public sector to improve my state, the state where I was born. So first, schools is a very important part. Second, the universities. So we have the communitary universities, you have public universities, we have state universities. So education in Brazil, you can have public education, so make them have access and also to dream in studying universities for underrepresented groups. And third, I think it's important to have laboratories of technology in vulnerable territories. Mm-hmm. So we have a project that is called Comunidades Inovadoras, where we go to these communities that are high vulnerable and give them in partnerships of qualifying in the vocation of the territory, not only in tech, but what they want to do that. So the thing in all of this is, and I have the programs, RS Talentos and also Professor da Manhã, where we pay their scholarship. We give them a scholarship for 18 months or for the whole college, the whole university, to give them opportunity. And we have 90% of occupation of the positions that we offer, and less than 5% leave in the university while we pay that. So what I understand is people only need an opportunity. And our job as public sector is to make them as a perpetual public policy.
That's amazing.
Verónica, let's talk about Endeavor entrepreneurship, startups, as we are in one of the biggest events in Europe to talk about startups. So how is your job as the chair of the board in Endeavor? Please, for the ones that doesn't know Endeavor, I told you, please give them a quick round of what it is and your job doing that here.
Okay. Endeavor is based in 45 regions in the world, and it came specifically to Spain 12 years ago. And the thesis is helping, we want to change the economies of the world through entrepreneurship. And we do this through specifically high-impact entrepreneurs, meaning those entrepreneurs that are able to change their industries, that are able to generate a lot of employment, that are able to generate a new technology that is going to disrupt the market. So what we do is the selection of those entrepreneurs, then we create an ecosystem where they can share among each other. They have mentorships, we have a lot of community engagement activities, because as we're seeing today, entrepreneurs share so many ideas. They are so inspiring to each other. We talk about being crazy. You want to be crazy, and you want to feel that the one next to you is much crazier than you are. So you are super empowered, to be part of the community. And then we also work in influencing or trying to change the context. And in this sense, I see Maria there, and we cannot agree more on the fact that entrepreneurship is not an option for a country, it's one of the most strategic bets a country needs to do. If you have a clear strategy that looks into entrepreneurship, and this doesn't only mean generating startups, because in Spain we had for a long period the understanding that entrepreneurship was generating startups, but no one was measuring what's the size of the startups, what are they changing, how much employment are they doing, will there be the big corps of tomorrow? Because that's what we should be preparing the country for. How much are they working with university? How much are we changing the talent of the region? So, and that's what we want to do, right? Is try to impact also the administration and generate the context so that we all understand and all align with the relevance of entrepreneurship, the relevance of high-impact entrepreneurs, the relevance of what we call the multiplier effect, which means that each of those very big entrepreneurs working together, they have a responsibility not only on their success, but on the collective success. We have the responsibility to help the next ones that will come after us in developing their companies, in giving mentorship, in investing, and also generating among our employees new startups. Because we've seen, demonstrated, and analyzed that the best source of new entrepreneurs are scale-ups.
Yes.
So that's why it's so relevant, no? And that's why I come back to you. What are you doing to develop entrepreneurship specifically as part of all this innovation ecosystem?
I think it's important to talk about entrepreneurship, but I want to open up a little bit more. So it is important to give you an information. We passed through a huge flood episode 2 years ago, and we have to rebuild the state. But we did it so fast to recover and to have our economy going back again because we have governance. And when we talk about boards and being a chairwoman and myself involved with that, we have a plan that is called, let me say that in Portuguese that easy, Plano de Desenvolvimento Econômico Inclusivo e Sustentável.
But you need to say it slower.
So let me say it in English.
Okay.
A development plan, the plan of development, economic, inclusive, and sustainable.
Good.
That give the governance in which verticals we will act, which will be more strategic areas like health techs, agri-techs, biotechs, and how we can help them, and where we will invest our energy in the next decades.
Okay.
So I think when you talk about entrepreneurship, we'll be very open, like open a company, open a startup. But if you can give you data, information, access, and credit to go in verticals that you know that it will be successful, I think this is our role. Mm-hmm. So we have, first, when you talk about data, we have our S startups, that is the way of mapping. How many startups do we have? How is the lifespan? Where they are located? First, so you have to have data in a real-time basis. Second, to go with development banks, local and state-based or region-based, to give them access to credit with lower taxes, because this is some challenge that we have nowadays. And third, to give them qualification access to events. So bringing like 100 startups, 200 startups to South Summit Brazil. We have a number here to first train them to go in front of VCs, how you do a pitch deck, how you organize your investor speech, how you go to startups competition, and go upward until be a scale up. So I think I will base in 3 pillars. So governance is very important. Like qualification and access to credit. And I want to hear from you, what do you see being a chairwoman in these 3 pillars? How you see governance, how you see access of credit, and maturity of startups in Spain?
Well, the country has changed enormously in the past 12 years, right? We've gone now the size of the market. I think the most recent study that was published is that the value of the companies in Spain, of the startups in Spain, goes up to 125,000 million euros. So this has changed very strongly. We have also been able to attract a lot of investment, which is, of course, now you were talking about credit, but we also need investors. We have pending many things to do, right? But one is that any individual in the country that has some little money in the bank should be encouraged, because of taxes, to put some part of this money into some investment vehicle that is promoting deep tech, startups. So we need to close the circle. This cannot only depend on big investors that come from other countries. We need to be our first investors. We need to bet on us. We need to bet on our future. And that's something we need to close, that we haven't closed yet. Second, we also, I would say we need a country strategy on entrepreneurship, because each region is doing very many things. I mean, everything is great, but we should have a country focus, vision. Who do we want to be? In what time? How are we measuring results? Are we building the next IBEX? You know, for us, IBEX is the listed company. So are we building the next IBEX of, I don't know, in 10 years today, with the strong bets we're doing on our startups? Are we classifying those startups by size so we can give a specific tools to all of those? You were talking before about the 8 regions and giving access, no? For us, and well, I won't compare to Brazil because I know it's super complex too, but our administration is rather complex, so you need to touch so many gates to make things happen. Things are sometimes pretty slow. The country has 17 regions only within Spain, but then we have, in the European community, we have all the different countries with all its different regions. And the problem is that all this is taking far too long when you develop a European strategy, and even more, if you want to be strong in Europe, so that then you develop to the international markets. So this is something too we need to do. We need to be working more as a European strategy on entrepreneurship and as a country strategy on entrepreneurship. And this means having a clear vision, clear KPIs, and then aligning all the instruments in the different regions so that we have a strategy also per sector, so that we are closer working with universities, but also with the younger ones, because university is too late. We need the very young ones deciding to go in some specific paths that will be the paths of the future. And we need to be able to have a super holistic vision. So there are many things pending to be, many things have happened. I mean, South Summit, Maria has been a super enabler, but now we need to keep on going we need to take it to the next stage. Yeah.
And I think part of the next stage, we were talking about this, private and public sector partnerships, as you did, and going to the third sector as your NGO. Being a former tech executive, something that I do inside of Rio Grande do Sul, and if you are a company, I've been talking here with Santander X, is to do partnership with large tech companies. Because, you work in the private sector, we have a lot of programs to qualifying people, to give them tools, and we have so much agility doing that in the private sector that redoing that in the public sector will take us years for. So what we are doing, it's a lot of memorandum of understanding, a lot of partnerships to bring their platforms inside ours, because we have the capability to spread it out. So any private company will want to be able to go to 11 million inhabitants. But we can do that, and then you give us the tool, and then we can go to the population where they are in the way they learn. Because this is very important. When I used to live in São Paulo, most of the things were very technological, using cell phones and all of this. In Rio Grande do Sul, Rádio Gaúcha, that Maria listened in a daily basis, is a very important way of communication. Newspaper, using paper, it's very important. So understanding how people develop their knowledge nowadays, and to explain technology in the way they know, it's very important. And bringing these private companies with their funds, with their team is very important. So how you do in Asti with this partnership with private and public sector?
For us, the ecosystem of collaboration with administration, big corps, and then the education centers could be universities or high schools. And then there is two other elements. Of course, the students, but their families. We need to understand the family. You were talking about it before, right? We cannot do a transformation. We cannot help the younger youth to transform if we do not work with their families, because they need to be transforming themselves in parallel. So, and this we do because we have another problem that I didn't mention before, but is that in many regions of the country, we are exporting talent, but we are not able to attract talent. And we employ a lot of resources in developing talent, but then they live abroad because they abroad or to another region. So the question is also how to bridge with these companies. So the students have a better understanding of what is happening, where it's happening, what's real life of work. Because PowerPoint keeps everything, right? But no, you need to go into the reality. So then we do a lot of mentorship. So many corps come to us not only with their technology, but with their mentors. And that's also very good because the students need to be able to talk to someone like you.
Yes.
And learn from your reference and be able to be vulnerable and share, I don't know what to do. I don't understand anything about how the world is changing. I'm just so afraid.
I'm afraid of AI too.
I'm afraid of AI, of course. I'm afraid of whatever. I'm afraid of taking decisions. My family doesn't understand me willing to go into technology. No one in my family is entrepreneur. I don't know. There are so many things that pop up in the mind of the young ones. So having these mentor programs, working very close to corporations, and something that is important both at Endeavor, in Fundación ASTI, and it was very relevant for me in ASTI Mobile Robotics, was that, generate a common vision, generate a common purpose, so that everyone tries to move under, the same understanding. So where do we want to go? Why is this relevant? Why will this be relevant for the country, for the region? And this is something that is relevant for us. So we want to work with corporations that truly understand that helping our young ones discover technology and be stronger and being braver, that's the best they can do for the future of their own companies too.
Yeah. So we have less than 30 seconds. So I want to use as my last phrase to invite all of you to be in Porto Alegre next April. We have South Summit Brazil. Yeah, you probably will be here. We have our stand is 100. Please go there to have more information about our stage and how we are partnered with South Summit Madrid. And Verónica, your last words?
Well, just you are already entrepreneurs, but just dream big, make it grow, and be part of networks that allow you to don't feel alone and be super crazy and feel you're never crazy enough to go for the next idea. Thank you.
Thank you all.